Now, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has advised the Nigerian government to ask global crypto trading platforms to register or obtain licenses before operating in the country. The Washington-based bank disclosed this in its latest staff report for Nigeria. The bank warned against the risk of the rapid growth of foreign exchange trading platforms in Nigeria, which poses new challenges to the country's financial stability. Now, the IMF backed Nigerian authorities in their restriction on cryptocurrency platforms in February 2024. Recall that the Nigerian government restricted Binance and other cryptocurrencies to undermine the Naira in the foreign exchange market. Now, the Securities and Exchange Commission recently delisted the Naira from peer-to-peer market platforms. Well, to help us dissect this advice from the IMF, we have joining us in the studio the chairman of the Arewa Economic Forum, Ibrahim Dandakata, who is also being joined in the conversation here by economic and financial expert Dr. Ogunsola Akintunde, who is a senior partner at Kama Professional Services. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. And so let me start from you. I mean, what do you make of this latest advice by IMF in the light of what's been happening in the gameplay between the federal government and Binance?
It's not only Binance. I think it's a timely intervention by the IMF and the federal government. I think is a little bit late in enacting regulations to do something about this crypto. Personally, to me, crypto is just an extension of the dark web, and it's an unregulated fora. And I think there should be so much regulation because we're talking about the economy of Nigeria, we're talking about livelihood of citizens and the future of the economy of this country. And cryptocurrency has been known to be used to finance things that are illegal, terrorism and so forth, drugs. And I think Nigeria is at the risk of being a center of this kind of problem in the world, and Nigerian economy being a very consequential economy in Africa, in the world, the federal government of Nigeria needs to do something about it fast and quickly.
All right, Dr. Ogunsola, let's talk about $26 billion passing through Nigeria in the last 1 year through this cryptocurrency, according to what the Office of the NSA said. And these latest attempts to regulate, cryptocurrency in the midst of the cybersecurity and all of that, which has now also brought the cybersecurity levy. What do you think of this advice by the IMF?
I think the advice is a welcome advice, but the last administration, the administration of the President Muhammadu Buhari, was already on the plan, has already planned to regulate the market. You recall that in the Finance Act of 2023, government has stated there that the gains on cryptocurrency trading will now be subject to capital gains tax of 10%. So there's no way government can tax cryptocurrency without effective regulation and monitoring. But because this new administration came and decided to float the Naira, I think with that, it was now, this market, this trading market is controlled by the forces of demand and supply. And as a result of that, the way people are now trading, just like you said, 26 billion naira passing through this passing through this window, on a floated market rate, makes the Nigerian naira very, very volatile. And as a result of that, government now want to look into it appropriately to ensure that proper strategies are put in place to ensure regulation and monitoring of this market.
And this reminds me of the e-Naira that was introduced by former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele when this issue of cryptocurrency came up and all of that, and the government said it wasn't going to allow or leave this space for all of these platforms alone. What really happened to that? Because, I mean, it's just
the e-Naira is not a cryptocurrency.
Okay.
It's just the electronic version of the Nigerian Naira. So there are two different things.
Okay.
The e-Naira is regulated by the central bank. In fact, it is the central bank that issues the e-Naira. But the cryptocurrency does not have any bank that regulates it. It's a worldwide currency that is traded on the globe. So if you have a cryptocurrency here, you can use it to trade in Canada, you can use it to trade in US, while seated here from your wallet. But the e-Naira can only be used to trade within the country, within Nigeria. So that's the difference between the two. And the e-Naira did not receive any acceptance by Nigerians because we have the e-banking system already. So what's the difference between the electronic banking and the e-Naira? Since within us, I can do a transfer of Naira to your account. I don't need an e-Naira before I can do the transfer to you. So I think the CBN now is now working on reorganizing that e-Naira and then looking at how things will go.
All right, the Securities and Exchange Commission, Ibrahim, is also getting into the space and regulating what's going on there. What do you make of their move, actually?
I think the Securities and Exchange Commission is the primary organization or agency that is supposed to even regulate this cryptocurrency issue. And apart from being convertible everywhere in the world, it gives vulnerability to our economy too. You know, the fact that you don't know who you are dealing with, and you see a huge amount of money, $26 billion, has been moved.
Yeah, I mean, through Binance alone.
Through one platform,
one
and there are dozens of those platforms that Nigerians are using. I think it gives rise to a nightmare for any economic agency that is regulating an economy. The Securities and Exchange Commission should, as a first thing, do something about regulating, creating a set of rules and regulations about this crypto. We cannot say that we can ban crypto completely out of the economy, but there should be regulation and monitoring so that Nigerian economy can even benefit from the taxation that was what they wanted to introduce. But there is a need for us to know who is dealing with who on a regular basis and what is being done with that kind of huge amount. I mean, $26 billion is beyond what we are getting as a nation per annum. And that's a huge amount of money.
That's like the country's annual budget.
Exactly. So there's a need for the authorities to know exactly who is taking this amount of money or whatever part of the money to do what. As I said, cryptocurrency is used to finance all sorts of illegal activities across the world. And you can't take Nigeria out of that world economy because, as I said, we're a very consequential economy in the scheme of things in the world. And even though I don't believe that it's never late than never, net go. But so we are not late, but we should, as a matter of urgency, create a kind of system that will contain the way these things are being done in Nigeria. It's very important.
All right, Doctor, I mean, when the SEC actually says is delisting the cryptocurrency from the P2P platform, what exactly does it mean, I mean, for an average viewer?
Thank you very much. I was even planning to even mention that. Now, the way this operates is that if you want to trade the cryptocurrency, you are going to register online. And when you register, they create a wallet for you. And that
like
wallet,
an account.
that wallet is an account.
Okay.
Like an account for you, where your balance of your money that you are saving there will be kept. And then, how do you get this money? You have Naira, and you want to buy a Bitcoin. You have to convert your Naira into USDT, which is like the e-Naira that we have. That's the electronic US dollars.
Okay. The electronic version of the US dollar.
The electronic version of the US dollar. That's the USDT.
Yeah.
Once you convert your Naira to that USDT at that rate that is displaying on the platform, then you can now use that USDT to buy any cryptocurrency you want to buy. And then when you buy, there are also different wallets for different crypto, like the Bitcoin, and so many others. Ethereum and all that. So you have different wallets that shows how many Bitcoin you have, how many Ethereum you have, and so on and so forth. You have the list, and then you have the total value of what you have in your purse. Now, talking about the P2P, if there's somebody that also needs a Bitcoin, and I have a Bitcoin in my wallet, I can just, on the same platform, I'll just ask for your own wallet address. What's your wallet address? And then I just credit your wallet address without anybody knowing, just between two of us.
Yeah, just
online.
like you transfer money from one bank account to another bank account.
Yes, online, without any bank, being aware of that kind of a transaction. So that's the way the P2P actually works.
Okay, and gentlemen, one very important thing here is people wanting to know what cryptocurrency actually could be useful for legally. I mean, we've talked about, funding terrorism and all of that, because people are saying that the CBN could actually be missing out. Nigeria could be missing out from this global phenomenon. There could be some good advantages that other countries are taking advantage of. I think it's one country, I think El Salvador or something like that. One of those countries.
South America.
In South America, into cryptocurrency.
Yes.
So how do we ensure that we don't lose out of the advantages before, we're left behind?
Well, if you look at that country, you realize that so far they have retracted some of the steps that they're taking, even though it was a good move when they made it. But in an economy like Nigerian economy is so huge and so varied that we may have advantages, but at first we need to protect our economy first. for us to start looking at the advantages that this guy gives. One thing, let me just give you an idea of how this thing affects the economy. It's just like if you go to the market and you want to buy a carton of Milo.
Yeah.
Doctor will say that my carton is 1,000 naira. Then I go to the next shop, and the guy, because he has pressure to sell, may sell it at 800 naira. The market will immediately hear that there is a person that is selling at 800 naira. And that 800 naira will drag the price of doctor's 1,000 down.
Yeah.
The same goes the other way. If someone sells it at 1,200 because there is a demand for it, and that's how it affects the naira. If it's little trade between one person to another person, that guy is desperately looking for the naira, and he is willing to buy the USDT at 1,900. Automatically the market will pick up that signal that this value is there. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So by that simple arithmetics, you'll find your currency being dragged. And in this kind of sphere, there are people that manipulate the currency for their own personal gain.
Right.
There are currency speculators all around the world. And this crypto platform gives them that advantage of moving huge amount of money within little time with no trace. So that is where the devil is in crypto. But on the other side, crypto can be used to do any trade that you want in this world, any kind of trade, legal trade. And that's where the issue of the 10% taxation comes into play. If we have the KYC done properly, and there's a whole scheme of regulation around the whole environment, then the government, just like any other business, the government can stand to make money out of it. I think Dr. will illustrate it much more.
Yeah, man, it's very important. I mean, because the government keeps saying that this cryptocurrency is being used to manipulate the naira, and so that's why the government is interested in it. I mean, I would like you to shed light on it, how it's been helping to actually increase the value of the exchange rate between the naira and dollar.
How it's actually affecting us is because Nigeria is naturally a consuming nation, and we crave for foreign goods, foreign products. We want to change our naira to dollar, to buy foreign wine,
always.
To travel abroad for medical treatment, to pay school fees and all that. So the advantage of this cryptocurrency is just that you can, for convenience, the convenience is actually very high. You can sit in my room and I book a flight to Canada, and I book an hotel with my Bitcoin. I even book a taxi. Just convenience, just in one spot. I don't need to travel with cash. I don't need to go to Zone 4 to go and look for BDC that I want to change. You know, and I can travel with a lot of money in my wallet. And when I get to Canada without holding any cash, without holding any ATM, I get to Canada from my wallet. I can do shopping, I can do all manner of things, and then come back to Nigeria without holding even dollars. I don't need to hold
that anonymous nature of it gives it that leverage where people can use it for other nefarious activities.
Yeah.
But once there is a legislation or a set of laws around it, and you know exactly doctor is using his wallet, which is of known address, just like you as a customer, their BBN number.
That's
so with KYC, with your BBN number, they can trace you to this studio. So that's exactly what is needed on crypto in Nigeria.
Okay, so as we try to round off this conversation, during the week we had the Binance executive, global executive, saying that some of our people here were actually demanding bribes and all of that, but also the NSA condemning that and saying, including the information minister, that there is no attempt by officials in government to actually demand bribery before there's a closure that's brought to the Binance case in Nigeria. What do you make of that? Could it be that, I mean, they're just trying to hold on to straw or anything that they can because they've been caught napping?
There was a documentary during the Abacha regime, not in our character. It says a lot about Nigerians and who we are. It doesn't matter whether we are government officials or private individuals. Not in our character, exposed a lot of things that have happened in this country. So for the officials to come out categorically and say that this thing has not happened, well, they should come out and tell us exactly what happened to the guy that escaped. How did he escape?
Yeah,
and so far we've heard that one or two officials have been remanded, and they are being investigated for complicity in how he was able to escape from Nigeria, even though he has been rearrested. But how did that happen if there is no issue of, you understand? I think one of the things that Nigeria needs to look at, Nigerian officials need to look at, is to do introspection and look at the fact that they are Nigerians first. And Nigeria is beyond each and every one of us. And as a nation, if we don't change our ways and the way we look at things, we'll never get out of the quagmire that we're in. So corruption is something that is inherent in Nigeria, and is something that all of us should work towards stamping out, irrespective of where we are. And denial doesn't solve the problem. It's looking at the root cause of the problem and solving it. All
right, Dr. Ogunsola, should we believe our government officials when they say that it's all lies, they never demanded any bribe from this Binance executive?
Well, just like my co-presenter said, he said there's already a case on ground of how did somebody escape? Somebody that was arrested and he escaped. What has happened? Is it that the security agencies just opened the cell's doors and the guy just walked away? Something must have happened. So, and we cannot, fully say government officials are innocent of, bribery allegations. But what the Binance executive should have done is that they should have come up with concrete evidence so that government can easily nail whoever that has requested for any bribe. Not just coming on air and say they requested, who are they? It becomes a media talk, something in the air. You can't even hold somebody responsible. They should have come up with concrete evidence and said, this is Mr. A, Mr. B, that requested for bribe from us for this purpose. Then it will have been good information for government to actually act. But telling us now that they asked for bribe is just trying to defend themselves after being
or getting media sympathy.
Exactly. Yeah, trying to cause sympathy.
Exactly, media sympathy.
Now, gentlemen, as we try to round off the conversation, I want us to talk about how other governments are handling this issue of cryptocurrency. How is the US handling it? How are other African governments, for example, handling this issue so that government is not so afraid of entering into that place, into that world of cryptocurrency, but to see how they could actually regulate it properly so that we don't lose out of its gains, and then we don't lose out of the current developments within the global monetary issues.
The truth of the matter is, if you look at a company like Binance, it has been banned in about 18 countries, and most of those countries are well-advanced economies. I mean, I'm talking about Britain, Canada, China, Germany. They banned Binance from their countries. So there are a lot of countries that have welcomed crypto, and they have a huge regulations around them. But a lot of countries are still afraid of the cryptocurrencies. A lot of countries in the Middle East, they don't allow cryptocurrency. A lot of countries in Asia, including India, they don't allow cryptocurrency in their country. So I think it's something that we should look at with a lot of trepidation. And I mean, it's not something that's beyond us to look at how we can regulate it, but it's something that we should look at it in totality and holistically before admitting it into the economy that is as disorganized as Nigeria's economy. Even though we have the largest economy before in Africa, and potentially if our data can be arranged very well, we're supposed to be one of the biggest economies in the world too, because a lot of our economy is informal. So there has to be a whole raft of legislations and data that government needs before it can allow cryptocurrency to be something that is an everyday affair in Nigeria, which data we don't have as of now.
Yeah, but despite the regulation by some countries, I mean, their citizens are actually going over through the back door to engage, in this cryptocurrency business.
That's what I'm talking about. So the big economies of the world, which are something like I can say akin to Nigeria, are afraid, as at now, are themselves afraid of the cryptocurrencies. We're talking about China, we're talking about India, we're talking about Canada, we're talking about UK. Yeah. You understand? These are countries that have huge economies, large economies, and that we can say well-developed economies. And as at now, they are afraid of cryptocurrency. What of Nigeria that doesn't have that kind of security that we need to regulate this kind of affair?
All right, so Dr. Ogunsola, that's the angle I'm coming from actually. Despite the ban in the US, China and all of that, you will see that people still use this currency, I mean, behind the veil to actually do lots of transactions. And in Nigeria, people are doing that. Despite government regulations and everything, people just go through the back end and see whatever they do, outside the purview of the authorities. I mean, how do we play within this area?
Well, I did a good research into how other jurisdictions are actually responding to cryptocurrency. The US has not totally banned cryptocurrency, but they are regulating it through their Security and Exchange Commission, especially that of Chicago. So they are monitoring the trading because they are also monitoring the e-version of the USD, how it's being used to trade online. So there's, absolute monitoring of how these currencies are traded in the US. Talking about the European Union. European Union also formed a regulation around this Know Your Customer regulation, monitoring. So it's about monitoring. And I think that was what led to IMF advising Nigeria, because IMF is a global body that actually, regulates financial transactions worldwide. They are trying to advise us in line with what other developed countries have done. That what they have done is that they have regulated it. They are now monitoring. In fact, in the US, people pay taxes on the gains of trading the cryptocurrency. So Nigeria is also trying to move into that direction. That's why I said it's something that Nigeria has already been planning, because we have put it in our Finance Act. Then coming to the other African countries have not yet started regulating, and they have not outrightly banned. It was when Nigeria started their own case with Binance. That was what opened the eyes of other African countries. And then they're also looking at how to regulate, how to actually monitor the trading, online.
Yeah, and the good thing is that they are not saying stop. IMF didn't say we should stop it. They only said regulate.
Yes.
The greatest fear is that, unlike a normal bank, the crypto operates in such a opaque way of operating.
Very vague.
Look at what happened with Altman and how people lost billions of dollars.
Yes, actually.
And I think there are very few currencies in the crypto world that are not successful with that kind of problem.
Of course.
Recently, there has been, I think late last year, there was this fracas between Elon Musk and another person, and it led to, I think, close to $1 trillion loss to some people. Just with two people having an argument.
All right, Ibrahim Dandakata, that's a very good way to actually leave it. You're the chairman of the Arewa Economic Forum. I must thank you so much for your insight into this advice by IMF, and I just hope the Nigerian government will take it to heart. And Dr. Ogunsola is also someone who's always prominent here on Arise News. We must thank you so much for helping us to understand the issues. He's also a senior partner at Kama Professional Services. Must thank you so much. And we just hope that young people who are in love with cryptocurrency will understand that it's for their own benefit for this to be regulated, because the thinking is that government just wants to stop them from using it and all of that, and so it will help them to save their currency, because I mean, when it goes bust, I mean, people commit suicide and do all sorts of things because of it. Well, that's the much we can take on this edition of This Week. Thanks to our production team here in Abuja, Lagos and London. Do join me same time next week for another exciting edition. I'm Sam Sando.